Farmyard, the People's Channel.
Cross, Robbie, oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. Absent without leave, this is Whitmore. Paul and Gale both available, it's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.
Blessed football from Yard Massive, as we return for the review of Jamaica's second group stage Gold Cup match, a nerve-wracking 2-1 victory over Guadeloupe. A first half goal from Cory Burke and an 87th-minute strike from substitute Junior Flemmings secured 3 points and secured qualification to the knockout stage of the competition. The game was one of the least aesthetically appealing games played by Jamaica in recent history. However, the team achieved its mission of qualifying for the next round, even prior to playing their final group stage game against Costa Rica. Coach Theodore Whitmore had one change to the 11 that started against Suriname. Team stalwart Andre Blake once again led the team in goal. The backline remained unchanged, with Damian Lowe and Liam Moore playing centrally, flanked by Amari Bell and Alvis Powell on the left and right respectively. Michael Hector and Daniel Johnson retained their places in the middle of the park, while Blair Turgot and Leon Bailey were on the flanks, with Shamar Nicholson at centre forward. Bobby Reid, who was reportedly in isolation due to a positive COVID test, was replaced by Cory Burke, who joined Nicholson on the forward line in a 4-4-2 formation, as opposed to the 4-3-3 the team previously played. The first half ended with the teams locked in a 1-1 draw. Guadeloupe was first on the score sheet in the 4th minute. Dimitri Rameau attempted to cross the ball from the right side, but the ball deflected off of Amari Bell's foot onto the goalpost and past Andre Blake. Jamaica equalized 10 minutes later as Blair Turgot dispossessed a Guadeloupe player and played off the ball to Cory Burke. Burke then fired the ball into the lower right-hand corner from the edge of the penalty box. Jamaica had numerous opportunities to score more goals in the first half, but failed to capitalize. The second half saw even more opportunities to score, with poor finishing and poor decision-making in the final third, letting down the team. Eventually, Whitmore's very first substitute, Junior Flemmings, delivered for his coach. He received the ball from Leon Bailey on the left-hand side of the penalty box, then dismissed 2 players in one move, skipped past the third, and fired the ball through the goalkeeper's legs and into the back of the net, securing 3 points. We saw a wide range of performances from the team, with some players being able to leave the field very proud of their contribution, and other players knowing there's a lot of room for improvement going forward. Andre Blake had a very good day in goal. As always, the Philadelphia Union man made it very difficult for his opponents to find the back of the net. He was only beat on the first goal due to a deflection, and he then added to his portfolio of world-class saves to prevent a second goal. While his distribution was mostly solid, he did have one turnover that could have been more costly. Blake gets a score of 8. Damian Lowe continued his string of strong performances. While the Guadeloupe attackers did prove a handful, Lowe generally kept them at bay with his speed, strength, and impeccable timing. He had 2 poor passes, but his possession otherwise was very good, in a manner similar to Leonardo Bonucci from European champion Italy. Lowe often acts as a deep playmaker, making dangerous passes to the final third. Lowe gets a score of 8. Liam Moore was solid on the day. In concert with Lowe, he effectively dealt with most of Guadeloupe's attacks, showing very good anticipation throughout the process. Although he doesn't provide the same attacking passes as Lowe, he is very comfortable on the ball and rarely gives it away. Moore gets 8. Alvis Powell had an up and down day. He had a number of timely interceptions and aggressively pushed into attack. However, his final ball was inaccurate on the day. He had a missed kick that was part of a series of unforced errors prior to Guadeloupe's goal, and had a few other sloppy plays. Despite the drawbacks, Powell and Damian Lowe seemed to be very much in sync, making it hard for opposing attackers to get an Andre Blake sighting. Powell gets a 5.
Unfortunately for Amari Bell, Guadeloupe's goal came by way of a deflection off his leg. Apart from that moment, Bell didn't put a foot wrong in the first half defensively, and was very good at possession, playing passes to the hard-running Cory Burke and Blair Turgot. Bell started to show some signs of fatigue in the second half, where he didn't quite provide the attacking thrust required as the team was pressing for the final goal. Bell gets a 6.
For Michael Hector, it was a tale of 2 halves. In the first half, he effectively formed a shield in front of the back four, successfully completed most of his passes, and retained possession with one exception. As the game went on, fatigue began to set in, and Hector's second half performance was much lower than the first, with his passing accuracy and defensive coverage both decreasing significantly. Hector gets a 5. Daniel Johnson was also a tale of two halves. He was almost non-existent in the first half, playing at a rather pedestrian pace, and he didn't offer much creativity or urgency going forward. In the second half, he made a complete U-turn, and we saw glimpses of the player who has dominated the English Championship for Preston North End. Johnson was responsible for a number of timely interceptions, penetrating passes, and other creative plays that led to goal-scoring opportunities. Most importantly, the tempo of his play picked up a notch, and he combined well with the wingers and substitute Devon Speedy Williams in the midfield. If not for the rather subdued first half, Johnson would have scored much higher. He gets a 6. Blair Turgott had a very good performance on the day. He was very good in possession, and also showed the two-way hustle that he's known for. On numerous occasions, he disrupted Guadeloupe's attack, dispossessing their players and launching counter-attacks. One such play was Jamaica's opening goal, where Turgott dispossessed the Guadeloupe player in the midfield, launched forward, and then passed to Cory Burke, who put the ball into the back of the net. With a bit more shooting on goal, Turgott would provide the boys with all the elements they need on the left-hand side. He gets a 7. It's likely that Leon Bailey will have a better game in the next match, because his performance against Guadeloupe was his worst in a Jamaican shirt to date. The Bayer Leverkusen winger had a game characterized by poor ball control, poor passing, wayward shooting, and unnecessary dribbling. The team's attack had two main failures on the day: turning over possession cheaply and not finishing chances, with Bailey being the primary culprit for turning over possession. Going forward, Bailey would probably help himself and the team to do more by trying to do less. He gets a 3. Cory Burke was exceptional on the day and gave one of his best performances in a Jamaica shirt. The Philadelphia Union striker, who's been in good form with his club this season, gave the Guadeloupe defenders nightmares, running aggressively into the channels, pressing them when they had possession, creating numerous opportunities for his fellow forward, and ultimately scoring a goal in the first half. With his performance, Burke made a strong claim for the number 1 position at the striker spot. Burke gets a score of 9. Shamar Nicholson undoubtedly had his worst performance for Jamaica to date. Nicholson didn't show the energy required for somebody who's trying to fight for their place in the team. He looked lethargic, he was sloppy in possession, he was hesitant in the final third, and he displayed some of the most profligate finishing we've seen in a long time from a Jamaican forward. While it's likely that Nicholson's finishing will improve going forward, the more concerning aspect of his play was the lack of energy and effort. A stark contrast to what we saw from Cory Burke and substitute Andre Gray, who displayed that in abundance. Nicholson gets a 3. The substitutes were very impactful on the game, in particular Junior Flemmings, who said Coach Whitmore told him to go onto the field and be very aggressive. Flemmings carried out those instructions effectively, completely changing the dynamic of the Jamaican attack. Flemmings' passing was accurate, his movement off the ball was very good, and he was willing to go directly at goal to try to shoot. Flemmings' efforts paid off with a much-deserved goal in the 87th minute, as he dismissed a number of defenders before slotting home past the goalkeeper. With his strong performances in the tournament so far, Flemmings has made a strong claim for a starting position in the third and final group stage game against Costa Rica. Flemmings gets a 9. Devon Speedy Williams provided a solid performance, coming on as a substitute for Michael Hector in the second half. With Williams on the field, the tempo of the game picked up a notch, and he combined well with Daniel Johnson in the middle of the park and provided good cover from the defensive end. Williams gets a 6. Kemar Taxa Lawrence had a solid performance, coming on as a second-half substitute for Amari Bell and providing a different dimension to the attack on the left side of the field, as the boys went in search for the match winner. Lawrence's surging runs created additional space for his teammates and put the Guadeloupe defense under pressure. I would expect Taxi to start in the next game against Costa Rica, given that Amari Bell is on a yellow card and has played 2 games in a rather short period of time. Lawrence gets a 6. Final substitute, Andre Gray, was a breath of fresh air after coming on for Shamar Nicholson, bringing much needed urgency and off-the-ball movement on both the attacking and defensive end. Gray may feel a bit down that he did the hard work to create an opportunity for himself, but was unable to convert. We should see more of Gray going forward. He gets a 7. Overall, the coaching staff wasn't pleased with the performance, but should be happy that the team got the 3 points and qualified for the quarterfinal stage with 1 game to spare. Next up, the team faces Costa Rica, once again at the Exploria Stadium in Orlando, Florida. If Jamaica beats Costa Rica, they'll play Canada in the quarterfinal match in Arlington, Texas. With any other result, the team will face the USA instead. The Costa Rica game provides the coaching staff with an opportunity to rest some players and assess some who haven't featured heavily so far. Thanks for joining Football from Yard once again. Look forward to seeing what Jamaica will do in the next game against Costa Rica, and I'll save my comments until then.
Cross, Robbie! Oh, he met it so well. And Whitmore! Theodore Whitmore. Gone absent without leave. This is Whitmore. Hall and Gale both available. It's still Whitmore. And it's now 2-0.